Yeah, I won one medal, but I won the best one, so super happy.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Welcome to another episode of Film Never Lies, and this is the Olympic edition. Obviously, the Winter Olympics going on right now. I'll say this from a guy who, played a team sport his whole life. The Olympics in general to me are just so wildly fascinating. In North America, you're playing these team sports, and you're generally traveling within North America, and you're playing teams or states or colleges, the younger levels, whatever, and it's like amazing, and it's tough, and it's difficult, but I can't fathom having to wait 4 years. And I get that there's, world championships, different games like that, but the big one, the granddaddy, is every 4 years. For some of these guys and girls, it's literally one event. Hey, I got to come here, I got one race, or, maybe there's 3 runs, but this is it. 4 years of training, all for one single event. It's the most fascinating thing, the pressure, just the depth of that whole thing. Imagine what it would be like to show up to Sochi, to show up to Pyeongchang, to be at home in Whistler in 2010/Vancouver, and win a gold medal. Like, that's the King Daddy topper right there. I don't think it gets better than that. Pretty cool, as an athlete to be able to say you've done that, and also to be able to represent your country. It's got to be something special. So we went into the Rolodex for this episode, and we got 2 former Olympic gold medalists. We've got Alex Bilodeau, who is a 3-time Olympian, 2-time gold medalist. He's the first Canadian man to win a gold medal on home soil in 2010 when he was in Whistler, the Whistler, Vancouver. He's also the first Canadian male to defend a gold medal, which I thought was pretty sick. So we're going to have Alex Bilodeau come on at the latter half of this pod. But up first, we're going to a fan favorite, Sebastien Toutant, 3-time Olympian, and won the big air and snowboarding gold medal in 2018. Like, this guy, he was dealing with a back injury coming into this thing. Was obviously tougher for him to train. He talked about it a little bit, but to be able to sit there in such a cool sport like snowboarding, pretty special, dude. Pretty cool, pretty iconic Canadian moment, in my opinion. Gonna kind of pick these guys' brain on what it's like to be standing on the podium with a Canadian flag, being like, damn, dude, I just won an Olympic gold medal. So without further ado, we're gonna bring Sebastien in right now. And here he is. We're here with 3-time Olympian and gold medalist Sebastien Toutant. I got to ask, dude, so this is where I'm coming from with this stuff. I'm a team sport guy, football guy. And in a football game, I've brought this up a few times in this podcast already, offensively, you get 60 snaps. You might not be in for everyone. There's nothing more like, I don't know if finite is the word, more intense. Like, I can't imagine the depth of the intensity where it's like you are getting ready to go. You only get this shot every 4 years. And I know there's world championships, there's different events, but in your sport, the Olympics is king. Correct me if I'm wrong. What is the mentality, and we're going back to 2018, when it's like, dude, you're going there and you're like, I'm going to go out here and win a gold medal on this run. What is the thought process there, dude?
I mean, I think I've been competing since I'm 13, so I feel like just doing contests in general, it's like something I've been doing it for a long time. So I kind of set myself new goals every year. And then my sports, like snowboarding, slopestyle and big air, wasn't at the Olympic when I started competing. So my goal was to make it at X Games and then winning medal there. And then when it got announced that slopestyle and big air was at the Olympic, it started in Sochi in 2014. Big air was not there, but slopestyle was there. And so I got to compete in my first Olympic there. It was stressful. It was different. It was the first time that I got to compete in my sport, but to represent Canada and not just to represent my sponsor. So I really felt the support from the country. So it felt really special, but didn't put the run that I wanted in the final, and then I didn't win a medal. But I got home and I just kind of reset, and I was like, dude, I really want to go back in 4 years. And I know a little bit more what to expect. And then went to Pyeongchang in 2018. Slopestyle was the first contest. Made it to final. Got a really sick run going, and I fell in the last jump. It's kind of like what happened in Sochi. So it's kind of felt like I was super frustrating. And then Big Air was the second event, and I was like, you know what? Like, I got a second chance as the same game, so let's just do it. And I remember just going to practice and practicing my trick over and over and over. And then the day of the final, I was like so ready on the tricks that I wanted to do, and everything clicks. Everything kind of happened like I pictured in my head, and ended up winning the gold medal. And to be honest, it felt so good. It's just definitely one of my best moments in my career for sure. Still to this day. And yeah, it's weird. It's weird how it happened, because it felt like it felt like nobody was there, type of thing, you know? Like, I guess like
Yes.
I was like the flow states was definitely there that day. So it's the best feeling. I mean, you're there to represent your country. But my second game felt like I was more like there to really like perform and do good, because I kind of knew a little bit more what to expect. So it was like less overwhelming with, I don't know, like the media, the support from Canada and all that stuff. And then I got to go to my third game after that in 2022 in Beijing, which I didn't win a medal, but I don't know. I think like being able to go like at three different Olympic with 4 years separate each of those, there's so much going on. There's like injuries. There's like, I've been in the sport for so long. So
12 years is a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time for sure. And I don't know. I'm super fortunate to like go. I went to like 3 different games, and yeah, I won 1 medal, but I won the best one. So super happy.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. So I'm going to keep picking here on this, because again, me personally, I find it so fascinating. You know, we would talk in our locker room all the time, like, what would it be like? You know, we're playing different states in the NFL, you know, this team, cities, whatever. Yeah. But it's like, bro, you show up to Pyeongchang. Like, we're not going to Pyeongchang, dude. It's like, yo, I got some guy from this country, that country, duke it out. I want to ask again about that gold medal run. So I'm going to equate it a bit to the Super Bowl. Obviously, I think gold medal is much higher. But I remember a moment in that game, and I've shared before, where we had a kick return. We were up a bunch, the one we won, and I remember looking over being like, I looked at the clock, looked at the other team, and was like, in 29 minutes, we're going to be 29 game playing minutes. Like, I'm going to be a member, like, I'm a Super Bowl champ. Like, this game's cooked. We've won.
Yeah.
When you landed or finished the run, was there any doubt, or did you know, like, boom, I hit this thing? You said you felt like no one was around, you're flowing. Did you know then, like, hey, I'm a gold medalist? Dude, a gold medalist.
Yeah. I got goosebumps just to think about it. But it's like so how it works in Big Air, it's like we get 3 runs, and it's your best 2 score that counts. So I landed my first run, got a good score. Then my second run, I landed my trick as well. So I was sitting first. And I went to my third run and tried to up my score, fell on that one. So I was sitting first, but there's a lot of guys that had to go still for the third run. So I had to wait. So I was like down there. I knew I was in a good spot, but there was like a couple of riders that were still able to maybe like shake the podium. So it wasn't for sure. I knew like, I mean, I did what I wanted to do, but I just remember there was one rider I could just like switch the podium, and then he fell, and it just kind of like, I don't know, just I didn't want to be disrespectful or anything. I remember I had like my face mask on, but yeah, the moment you're like, okay, I done it, you know, it was surreal. It was really a cool moment, and after that, it just felt like everything went fast. I remember calling my family, and because they were there for slopestyle, but they went home after that. But anyways, like got to like text some friends, FaceTime some people, and just that moment was super special for sure. It's like you work so hard for like every contest that I do, I try to win, and I try to do, I try to do the best run that I can. But being on the biggest stage you could be for any sports, I would say. And I mean, the Olympics are special for sure. I think like in any sport, from like NFL to like NHL, people like they do have really like prestigious, like Super Bowl is super nice. But I feel like every athlete, if you're able to represent your country at the Olympic, I feel like it's the best. Like, it definitely has something special. It's hard to even explain, but yeah, it just kind of felt like, holy shit, I done it. Yeah.
Honestly, and you said it, like being able to rep your country to a extremely less, ordeal. I played on our junior national baseball team one year, and we were in like a world baseball championship thing. And I remember going out there, I'm 18, being like, dude, I got Canada on my chest. Like, this is so sick. To this day, it's one of my favorite, like, sporting things I've ever done in my life, and we didn't win. I think we got 5th or 6th. That's why, like, part of, for me, the motivation for this, like, talking to you was, like, I can only fathom how amazing it would have been. Like, can you talk to me about being on the podium now? So you've landed the trick, you're on the podium, the flag comes down. Like, what is going through your head, dude?
Yeah.
Like,
dude, the crazy part, it's like, so there was a first podium on the slope where we did big air. So I remember the first thing, I got the Canadian flag on my shoulders, and I'm just kind of like walking around and got to see, some of the people that I've been working with, the past years and years, like whoever like helped me out the most. So I got to like see these people first, and then we did the first podium on the slope, and it just felt like so good. But then the real podium was like this. The real ceremony was like down in the village, but it was more like later that night. So I went through so much before getting to the podium. So I almost like got the time to like think about it. It made it like sink in a little bit more. I got to check my phone, but literally I had like 1,000 like texts. Like I just couldn't even answer like all of it. But I was kind of like looking into it. And I remember like the whole ceremony. Like it's definitely, the ceremony is different than like all the other contests that I normally do. So like, yeah, it just felt like super. It's different, and I remember like the emotion were up there for sure. Like just thinking of like just all the support that I've been having for all these years. And I mean, like, I love snowboarding. Like every day that I snowboard, I'm stoked. And I dreamt of like representing Canada and being at the Olympic. But once you're like in it, and then you're like, it just felt like a dream, to be honest. It's
now you mentioned going through a lot going into it. You had a back injury going into 2018.
Yeah, I did.
How did you manage that? And you said, so just kind of correct me if I'm wrong here, but 2014 kind of got your first taste of the Olympics. Sounds like you were pretty motivated after that. Be like, yo, I'm going to go back here. Yeah. 2018, you've got a bit of a lingering back injury. Did that play on the psyche at all?
For sure. I mean, I got injured, any sports athlete, we get injured here and there. But breaking bones or ligaments, stuff like that, it heals, and you can just battle the rehab and then just come back. But back injuries sometimes are just kind of scary, because it's not like I felt or anything. It's more like something over time. I mean, it's an impact sport, so it's hard on the body. And my lower back had like a compressed disc. And at that point, at the start of the year, I started snowboarding, and then all my right side of my back, from my neck to my butt, it just kind of like seized up. Like it's like I couldn't move. So it's like literally like my bigger muscle was trying to protect that zone. So it's kind of like, hey, don't go there. So like I started like doing a lot of physio and working out at the gym with the right people, to fix me. And basically like after like a month of training, like people like see me at the gym, they're like, okay, you're ready to go. Like just go back on your board and do your thing. And went back on the slope, did like a super easy trick, didn't even fell. Same thing happened. So I got like super scared. I was like, holy man, I'm not even like falling, and I can't even do like what I want, like, so at that point I was like, am I going to be able to like snowboard and function? I was not even like thinking of like the Olympic or all that stuff. I was really just thinking of like, am I going to be able to snowboard? And then like we kept going. I got an injection into my back that just kind of helped the inflammation like inside. And then from that moment, like it really helped out, because all the work we've been putting at the gym, physio and all that stuff, it's been really like paying off. And then we work on like different posture on like how I snowboard to protect that zone. And then literally like a month before the Olympic, I went to X Game in January, and I was able to ride. That was the first time that I was riding, and I had like no pain, and my back was actually good to go. And that's actually when I decided that I was gonna go. So it's kind of crazy. Like people like was like, training all season and then doing all these contests, and I was literally just at the gym and doing physio pretty much every day.
Let me get this straight. So you were wondering if you could still snowboard because of this back injury, and then you show up to the Olympics from training and physio and then snag a gold medal. That's pretty iconic, dude.
To be honest, I never really, I didn't talk about that injury before the Olympic because I didn't want it to answer all those questions. I didn't want to get distracted by it, but it made me like super fired up. And to be honest, like thinking of myself not being able to snowboard, I was just scared to not be able to do my passion. You know, I was not even thinking of like working or doing contests at that point. I was just kind of like, okay, like I really just want to be able to do that sport no matter what. And when I got to snowboard and I realized I got the opportunity to go back at the Olympic, it just made me like so fired up, and it just made me like super hungry. And that's why like at slopestyle I came super close of like winning a medal, and then I was so bummed, and it just kind of made me feel like, dude, all this work to do that, like what's going on? Yeah. And I kind of felt it. I felt like something special was gonna happen. And then when I did the practice in big air, I was so hungry, and I was like, just, I don't care. There's 5 minutes left. I'm still practicing. I want to be so prepared. And I remember the day of the final, the weather was kind of gray, not the perfect, so it's kind of hard to see sometimes. And it's almost like I could have done those tricks like eyes closed. So it feels so good when you're prepared and you do those tricks and you don't let the pressure kind of brings you down. It just felt like I had some pressure for sure, but I was like, dude, like, you got this, and it felt super good. And, you know, when you're sitting first and people need to land their stuff to maybe push you down, you're there, you're waiting. There's nothing else you can do. I was not, like, wishing anybody to fail, but because I did what I wanted to do, and I ended up winning. It's just the best feeling ever, for sure.
So now, in your sport, would you personally rather go first and set the bar, or do you like being like, all right, here's the score, this is what I got to beat?
I think I'd rather go last. I think it's nice when you get a score to beat, but sometimes you don't get to pick like when you're dropping. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes you're last to drop, you know the score really high, and sometimes it could kind of do the opposite. You're like, damn, am I going to be able to beat that? So sometimes it's kind of good to be like some of the riders that sets the tone, but I just feel like in a judging sport, sometime when you're dropping towards the end and you do something really big, sometimes the judges, you know, gives you a higher score. Not all the time, but
it's human nature element for the judges.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of like finishing with a bang, you know, it's just kind of good for the people watching and all that stuff. So I was kind of hoping it was not going to, like, you know, the bang was me just winning the medal, which that happened. But, I mean, at the end of the day, like, there's nothing else than my riding that I was able to control. But it just felt like super sick moment because the whole time I was waiting, it was still like, yeah, it was a weight game. But I was like, no matter what, there was a certain level. I was like, no matter what, I'm on the podium. But, I mean, for sure, I wanted that gold medal, for sure.
Love it. Now, let's talk about this gold medal. So, one of the things for me, you know, a couple weeks ago, the Super Bowl was in San Francisco. My former team was in there and won it. I have a Super Bowl ring, and I got this ring in, I think, May or June of 2014, and I would say outside of about 7 total days, it lives in a safety deposit box in my parents' bank in LaSalle, Ontario.
Okay.
What do you do with your gold medal? Where is it? And when do you take it out? I took it out. The reason I say for the first time in years, I've taken it out twice this year. One was for a hometown event, and one was for the Super Bowl this year. What do you personally do with the gold medal?
Yeah, congrats, by the way. It's awesome.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, whatever. You still do it. Yeah, mine, I would say the first year, I had to bring my gold medal like almost everywhere I was going or I was invited to. I was not used to that because, I mean, I've been competing for a long time, and I did win a bunch of contests, but it's like most of the time it's like a week after people sometimes ask you for interviews and to bring it. But I feel like the gold medal, it's like almost like a never-ending thing. It's like people want you to bring it out like all the time. I'm sure it's the same thing with the ring, but the first year I was like, I had to bring it almost like everywhere. But I'm not like a really like show-off person. But I guess like people were just so excited to see it. But I'm really generous. Like for me, like it's really special. But some people try to protect it, and they don't want people to touch it or carry it because they're scared someone would drop it or break it or whatever. But I was kind of like, hey man, like you want it around your neck, just do it. I was like, just seeing reaction of people just having the medal in their hands and not knowing what to do was just so cool. So I've been like that medal, like it's for sure have like a couple scratches on it or whatever because
Character scratches. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I guess like I brought it almost like everywhere, I would say, the first year. Now it's sitting at home. I have kind of like a little like trophy zone, which I kind of kept like my favorite one. I have some at my parents' house. They're kind of like everywhere, but the gold medal itself, it's not like in a safe box or anything. Maybe I should, but sometimes I just look at it and I just kind of, it brings good memories, and sometimes it just kind of makes me fired up, to like any project that I have for snowboarding. I look at it and I'm just kind of like, well, it's just try to get something similar or get like something that gives you like the same feel of like winning that medal.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. If I had an Olympic gold medal, I would probably have similar feelings. Like, yeah, I'd be pretty fired up if that was chilling in my trophy area. That's a nice one to have on like on the realm of like trophies to have won. I think for me personally, putting an Olympic gold medal on it would probably be the only other one I would say that's the debate for me would be World Cup and Olympic gold. Those are like 1A, 1B for me. I think those would be the two coolest things to have won.
Yeah, I guess it depends. Like for me, for snowboarding, it's like the X game were kind of like our own Olympic, and then because our sport was not at the Olympic back then, so those were really special. That was definitely my dream was when I was like younger to go there and win some medal. I mean, there's other contests like U.S. Open or even like there was like Dew Tour and all these contests that was like in the snowboard world for a long time. So those for me are like super special one that I have. But I think the gold medal itself, what makes it more special or just bigger itself is just like everyone knows about the Olympic. So it's kind of like I can talk about US Open, I can talk about X Game, but if you don't know like extreme sports, like you don't really get how big it is. But to anybody, if you say like you're an Olympian, like already people are like, wow, that's crazy. But then if you say like you're a gold medalist, it's just like people just freak out. So it's like, it just kind of has that like, I don't know. It's just that it's like a status that not a lot of people actually have.
Facts, my guy. Now, Sebastien, let me ask you this year's Olympics, has anything, what has piqued your biggest interest? Has there been anything that you've really been following with the current Olympics going on right now?
I mean, for sure, my sport. I've been watching all the guys like slopestyle, big air, or even like free ski or all that stuff. Like for sure, like I like to follow what is going on. But other than that, I'm just like a huge fan of sports. I think like I try to watch like most of it. Like sometimes I'm busy, I don't get to watch the whole thing, but I like to watch the highlight of like any sports. Same thing with Summer Olympic when it's on. Like I like to watch all sports.
Yeah. Now he's a big fan favorite. I know you're pretty tight with Mark McMorris.
Yeah.
He's obviously been through a lot at this Olympics. Have you shot him a note? Like, how's he hanging in there? Are you two pretty close still?
Yeah, I mean, me and Mark, like, we've been competing for a long time together. We know, I mean, probably since I'm like 13, we know each other. So like, it's been a long time, and it's good. It's good. It's probably like the only guys competing that I used to compete with that's still there. So it's nice to see that he's still like trying and he's still like learning new tricks and he's still like a competitor. So it's nice to see. And when I saw that he crashed at Big Air, I mean, I knew like so many people would like text him and see like how he does and all that stuff. So I was like, I try to text people around him just to see how he feels. But I try to like not distract him or all the boys that are there. But I was definitely like rooting for him and all the other Canadian for sure.
All right, Sebastien, I got to ask something, man. It's a bit of a strange question, but I've been hearing this rumor, like, I'm just going to give you kind of a small scenario here. So in Seattle, we have a really nice facility. Most NFL teams do. In the sauna is where, like, we would have, like, these big chats, you know, just kind of like, it's like stretch and tell, dude. You're in there after practice, sweating out, whatever. The conversations generally are not about football in here.
Yeah.
We would hear a lot of these rumors about the Olympic Village, okay? And I'm not asking to get too much in detail here, but I saw a story, and I'm not sure I believe it. And I did ask Alex Bilodeau about this, that somehow in Milan Cortina, they've run out of 10,000 condoms. It's a lot of condoms, man. Can you explain to me, you know, your experience in the Olympic Village and the partying that goes on? Is it as advertised, or is it a little more blown out of proportion?
I mean, I think the media are like.
You've been to three, man. You would know.
I know. But I'll say the truth. It's like, yes, there's some parties. Yes, there's some fun stuff. But at the same time, this is kind of like a mixed stuff, because it's like all the contests are at different time and different days. So some people are still in it and they're focused. Some are kind of like done and they get to stay. So with all the condom stuff, like I think the media are like looking to make like a big story around it. I think there's party everywhere. It's not just at the Olympic. I think, like, yes, of course, some athlete really train 4 years only for that moment, because, you know, some of the sport they don't have like professional contests every year, so they really just train for that. So I can't imagine when your event is over, a medal or not, like, obviously you want to just relax, have a couple drinks.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I guess there's some athlete that just sex or whatever, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Like,
I'm glad you said this. I'm glad because again, I'm not an Olympian, never been one, but as a professional athlete, I'm like, I can't fathom being like, okay, you know, the biggest event of my life is upcoming here. I've waited 4 years for this shit.
Yeah.
It goes well. If it goes poorly, like, I lost a Super Bowl, dude. I'll never forget that. It was a very dramatic ending. There's no world in which I'm, like, ready to, you know, go have a huge night after that. You know, I was, like, depressed.
Yeah.
So, you know, and on the flip side, when we won one, yeah, it was nuts, but it was more so, like, for me, and I think a lot of athletes would say this, like, you're with friends, you're with family, with your, like, support staff. So I'm glad to hear that these rumors are a bit, like, they make it seem like y'all are, like, wild animals out there, dude. Like, shit's just crazy.
Dude, you're right. And I mean, like, snowboarding is, like, it's a sport that they never hide that there's some parties and we're having fun after every event. Yeah. And I think, like any sports, you know, like, you need to chill, you know, and just get outside. We're so focused all the time and try to perform, and we have so much pressure on our shoulders, like, every contest that we go, that it's like, it's normal. You got to celebrate. You got to celebrate the people who did well. And when you do well, you want people to come out and celebrate your victory. So same thing at the Olympic. And I would say, like, sometimes it's even hard to go at places at the Olympic because it's so secure.
Busy.
There's security everywhere. And it you know, so it's like most of the time we're kind of like stuck there. So I would say
this makes much more sense now.
I mean, it's too much for sure. Like, do people have fun? Yes.
Of course.
But I don't think it's that crazy.
Okay, I love that. Well, I'm glad we settled that rumor. And Sebastien, if I can ask you one more thing. We love to do on the show, Film Never Lies, what I call top 5. These things get all over the place. We've done Tom Cruise movies. We've done Super Bowl moments.
Sick.
So for this one, what I'd like to do is, and I was hoping we could kind of split this, if you weren't a snowboarder, big air, etc., what would be the top 5 Winter Olympic events, not that you'd be good at, that you'd want to do? So this is my top 5. It's presented by Yoder Smokers. Okay. If I'm going to start here with number 5. Okay. I think don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me. I'm going to start with hockey. Just the idea of playing for Team Canada. You know, everybody's watching. It's such a big. I'm not really a big hockey guy. I don't like the NHL. Yeah. But, like, I feel like playing for Team Canada at the Olympics would be like, dude, imagine, and hopefully it happens, but playing Team USA in the final and getting, like, when Crosby scored in 2010, I mean, dude, it was
I know.
The most
yeah.
iconic moment of my young life.
For sure. I mean, that's hard. That's a hard one. I mean, hockey for sure like would be on my list for sure. But just to switch it up, maybe I would call like bobsleigh. I don't know why, but it's just like it's one of those sports that you just push hard, get in, and then it kind of seems like you're hoping for the best. But
Yeah.
I know
Okay,
there's
is
more
it 2-man or
technicality to
4-man?
it.
2-man or 4-man? Which one would you want to do?
I think I would do 4-man. You probably go faster, and
Faster,
I don't know,
right?
like I kind of like a team sport in general.
Yeah.
Like,
Would
somebody
you want to
is
be the
just solo.
driver, or would you want to be like the guy pushing and getting in the back?
I mean, I'm strong, but I guess like I would need like bigger partners, so I'd probably be sitting up the front. Probably.
Yeah, I like
but
that.
Front, you're probably like driving, so that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, dude, it does like one sport that I find, to kind of reiterate your point, where it's like sometimes on TV, I don't think it does it justice, where you're like, oh, like they're in a sled, and then all of a sudden you see like the speed at the bottom, and you're like, dude, imagine being in this like, I don't even know if they're carbon now, but like back in the day, I'd assume they're like a metal sled. There's 4 of you guys. You're tucked in. You're just ripping down the hill.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those sports that you see it in person, you see how fast they go, and you're like,
yes,
wow, you just realize how much risk there is. But you watch on TV, like you say, like you don't see, yes, you see the speed, but sometimes your brain just doesn't think about it. But they're nuts, for sure.
Nuts. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to go. This is a bit of a strange one, man. Now, I like some endurance stuff. I'm not a very good endurance athlete. But I'm going to go is it biathlon?
Yeah.
Where, like, dude, you're, like, trekking along, and all of a sudden you just pick up a rifle and start slinging shots. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm not even a gun guy, dude. I don't really own any guns. But I'm like,
but imagine like you're on skis and you're actually like going way faster than people sometimes that are running, with no
totally.
skis. And then you need to make shots like I mean, they're crazy.
Dude,
yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like, this is a bit childish, but when I see it sometimes, I would almost feel like Jason Bourne. Like,
yeah.
You're like, yo, you're James Bond. Like, dude, you're ripping along. And it's like, boom, pick up the rifle, like, set it up, snipe some shit. Boom, boom, okay, we're off.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that in my top 5.
Okay. I think 4, you know what? I think I'm going to go curling. I don't know why, but
okay.
Yeah,
the hog line. We had a big chat about the hog line.
I like to play pool in all like little games, and I feel like I never played curling before, but I heard like it's really, really hard, and it's one of those games like you look on TV and you're like, sometimes like, why are you even watching that? But it's like, if you think about it, they're so good. Like there's so many, I don't know. I just felt like it'd be fun to play. I'm sure it's one of those games I would play with my friend, and I would just like play like all day.
Yeah, one thing, this is going to be really dumb. Curling fans are going to hate me for this. We went in high school. So in high school, when I was in phys ed class, they'd be like, oh, we're going bowling one day, we go curling. I always wondered why they called it curling, and then I went there, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you curl the rocks. Like, I always thought you just threw them. But no, like, they're like spinning that shit, and they're like kind of arcing in and out of rocks and shit.
I knew they were doing like shapes, but I didn't know it was called curling because of that. So
I think I could be wrong. Dude, don't quote me on that. Don't
no.
I'm not jammed up.
I mean, I'm learning something right now.
Yeah, so I'm going to take us home here on this last one, and this is a personal one for me, and I think this is illegal, but I'm still going to like say it anyways. I would love to be a short track speed skater. Short track, not long. Long guys, respect, but they look intense.
Yeah.
Part of why I say that, though, is it's like I have this saying in my life that the body craves contact.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, you'll be like in the inside corner and just boom, 4 bodies go flying. And you're like, dude, what the fuck, dude? I know it's an iconic one. I know it doesn't happen that often, but I think it was the Australian guy in 2002 that was like way behind in the entire. Like,
yeah, everyone crashing and you just pass at the end.
Chasing it to gold. Like, dude, not even for gold medals. I would be the guy that was like, yo, and I think it's illegal. That's like, you know what, dude, there's like no lane here, but I'm kind of big. I'm going to see if I can force my way in here and just body somebody out of the way.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that. And there's small, some of those are like smaller, but they all have like huge legs, obviously. I think I would go Skiing long jump.
Like the guy, dude, you're insane, man. I guess you're insane because you're insane.
But that's
you're
probably
talking about the
the
guys
thing
that go
like,
down the ramp and they're like, whee!
It probably like feels. I mean, I'm used to like jumping, but like
yes.
those looks crazy. First, the skis are like so big, and they're just kind of like they're literally just flying, you know?
Flying,
so
dude.
It must be like a great feeling. I mean, I don't know.
What do you think is going through their head when they're like pinned up, just like?
I think they're so used to it that it's just like the technique, you know? It's like how you pop and how you're like set in the air. It's what really makes you like stay longer in the air. And
yes.
I think they're probably not scared of the jump itself because they hit it so many times, but it's more like, I don't know, like I'm wondering, like there's for sure like one guy that missed the whole thing. I remember like there's one guy that did like the record one year and there's almost no more landing. So they gotta build those ramps bigger.
Dude, imagine again, like this is what I think is fun about the Olympics, but it's like imagine being that guy and you're like, I'm assuming there's a lot of aerodynamics, like you said, like technique to float, and you're like looking like, bro, I'm gonna clear this whole shit.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but it's like it's same thing with like with skiing. It's like, you know, you wear like that suit that it's like super tight. But when we snowboard, you know, like we wear normal, you know, we normally have like baggy stuff. It's kind of like part of the style. But it's just like, I don't know, when you wear like baggy stuff, it almost feels like it protects you, but it doesn't. But I feel like if you wear like really like tight stuff, in my head, it almost feels like you're naked. It feels like almost probably like nothing protects you. I'm wondering if they feel like that.
For sure, they've got to feel like. I mean, dude, you have like a little thing of Lycra on, and you're again. You said it best. You're flying through midair with skis on your feet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Let's put that at number one. We went through 6, but we'll count hockey as like we'll keep that off. So that's going to be our top 5. Exclude hockey.
Yeah.
And that's it. Presented by Yoder Smokers. Sebastien, listen, man. First and foremost, I can't say how much I appreciate you coming on, talking about winning the gold medal. And I know you're a very big inspiration to a lot of snowboarders across the country. So thank you for spending time on Film Never Lies.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. That was a great chat.
Here is Alex. And Alex, I got to ask right off the bat, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but in 2010 in Whistler, you were the first Canadian to win a gold medal on home soil, kind of kick off that Olympics. How did that feel, and did that dawn on you at the time? Like, what is it like to win a gold medal in the Olympics? And you're talking to a football guy here, dude. You're not talking to Olympians, so I want you to dumb it down for me.
I mean, having the opportunity to compete at home at the Olympics, it's a chance, right? As an Olympic athlete, you have so much Olympics you're going to participate in, and the odds are that you're not going to compete at home. And having the opportunity to do that in front of your countrymen and just and Vancouver was very special. Just the atmosphere that was in the city, leading up to the games, all Canadian from around the country were all over that event, and we've been talking, and I've talked with Americans that had experienced Salt Lake City. And they were like, hey, it was not like a quarter of the atmosphere that you guys had in Vancouver. It was literally the party were everywhere. Like, it was so much energy in town. And so I was actually competing in Whistler. I was competing in Cypress Mountain. And it's literally 30 minutes out of Vancouver. And we were living in the Olympic Village downtown. And, I mean, I was day 2, so I had 2 full weeks after that of just enjoying myself, being with my family, friends, and go cheer up for the rest of the Canadian team, and it was just an amazing time.
I've got a few moments for you here, but when you're standing on the podium, the Canadian national anthem's playing, you're on home soil, how was the emotion around that? And another thing that I find fascinating coming from a different sport is, like, take football, for example. There's obviously one play that could make or break a game, but in a general game, you know, you get 60 plays offense, 60 plays defense. Like, let's start with the mentality before the moguls run. Is there a moment where you're like, this is it? Everything comes down to this exact moment. How do you handle that? And then how do you feel while standing on the podium after?
Definitely.
This blows my mind, Alex. Yeah. Again, it's so different
like
from
to
football.
give you a perspective of what goes into her mind before because literally it's 24 seconds, like, right? So it's leading the day leading to the games. Like, you're definitely, like, what I call my hamster in my head is just going and making full of thousands of possible scenarios of outcome. And you're like, I've been training 4 years for that game of 23 seconds that's going to unfold tomorrow. And the night before the Vancouver game, I couldn't sleep. I was in my bed. It was like 1 a.m. And I was like, God, tomorrow in 24 hours, I'll be whether partying downtown Vancouver with my friends and family, or I'll be sitting here, laying down here, crying my life. And you're like, that's in 20. I've been waiting 4 years for that. We've been preparing with my team for 4 years, and I couldn't grasp or actually calm down my thoughts. And I literally called my sports psychologist that night, and he came to my room, and he literally just gave me a piece of paper because he didn't want to give me sleeping pills, obviously, the night before the Olympics. And he said, write down the answer to the question I'll ask you. Like, simple. And then he's like, are you healthy? I'm like, yeah, I'm healthy. Like, it's no question asked. I write it down. And then he asked, are you in top physical shape? I'm like, best shape of my life. We've been training for that. We've been planning. We went through multiple technical items. We had 40 lines 40 questions and answers. And he looks at me and he's like, Alex, read that again and tell me you're not ready for tomorrow. I'm like, you're right. Like, there's nothing. I can't start doing push-ups right now. It's not going to help me. But I'm so ready for tomorrow. I have to be confident. I'm one of the best in the world in what I do. I have to focus on doing my job, and that's it. I'm in the right position, and that's all I have to focus on. There's tons of things that are out of your control, whether it's the judge, whether it's the weather, whether your competitors. So just don't focus on that. Focus on your job, your game plan, the strategy, and that's it. And accept what's going to happen, really. So I put the odds on my side, and it should be good. So that's, yeah.
You win the gold medal, and then is there a lull after? So you also then go to Sochi in 2014 and defend the gold medal. And Alex, I'm going to put this out here. For me, and it wasn't the next year, but there was kind of a lull where it's like, and again, we're going back-to-back years in Seattle where I was playing, where you're like, well, we've already won the Super Bowl. Like, what's next? Was there any moment in that 4-year prep leading into Sochi where you're like, dude, I'm already a gold medalist? Or were you just very driven to be like, I'm defending this gold medal?
I was very driven. And I had the opportunity after the Vancouver Games to meet with two Olympic champions that I've met, and it's Johan Koss, it's a Norwegian, and Katrina Lemedon. Actually, Katrina, before Sochi, she was the only Canadian male and female to have ever defended an Olympic title, other than teams, but on an individual sport. And she had an interesting view. She wasn't seeing herself as an Olympic champion. She was seeing herself like, Olympic champion is one day. You're a Super Bowl winner that day. It doesn't mean next week or the next year or in 4 years from now you'll still be at it, and you'll still be the Olympic champion. You'll keep the title, but you won't be the Olympic champion. And she was seeing it a bit differently than everybody else. And to be honest, the 4 hardest years of my career were after being an Olympic champion, in between Vancouver and Sochi. When you're the leader in your industry or in your sport, everybody wants your place. Everybody's going to do everything in their power. Everybody, all the team, all the athletes, all the coaches are going to analyze what you do to take your place, and they're not going to help you. And it was definitely 4 years that were difficult, but you just have to focus on making every day count and proving to yourself that you can win every day. day in, day out. It's a difficult burden to have, but it's important, I think, in your attitude to actually be able to succeed in 4 years.
Okay, Alex, I'm going to do a quick pivot here. The sport of moguls in general, again, I'm a football guy. It's a very physical sport. When I watch moguls, which I am not an expert here, so again, I am definitely not an expert. It looks insanely tough on the lower body, dude. I mean, you're just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's hard on the lower body, but just only it's only hard on the lower body if everything goes well. It's hard for everything in the body if it goes wrong. Also,
no question.
Talk to Jeremy Bloom.
No question.
You're a football guy. You should talk to Jeremy Bloom. He used to be a kick receiver for the Eagles, and he was in 2006 Torino Olympics. He's now the CEO of the X Game. Jeremy played in the NFL, and there was one journalist that asked him, like, would you rather get hit by an NFL player, like, when you receive, or rather you have like a bad fall mogul skiing? And he's like, if it's an icy condition, I'll take the football player any day.
Yeah,
because the mogul is not going to move.
No, I'm with you.
That gives you a bit of the impact we can actually experience.
How do you train for moguls outside of, doing moguls, obviously, but in the gym, kind of taking care of your body? Is there a specific thing where you're like, hey, this is kind of my regimen, or is this more so just generic training and you train on the mountain?
It's like there's multiple aspects to being a mogul skier. It's the best mogul skier would be a combination of a 100-meter sprinter, of a gymnast, acrobat, and of an alpine skier. So you have
That's
to train.
That's a pretty wild combination right there.
Exactly. So there's strength, short-term, obviously, endurance to lactic acid. And because you're literally, it's like a 100-meter sprint. When you get at 75 meters, your legs don't respond as much, but you still have to jump and make them respond, even if they hurt. And also being an acrobat and being a really good skier, a skilled skier. So there's multiple aspects, whether it's in strength, like, as a football player, foot plyometrics, to be very, very fast with your feet, and also trampoline and all those gymnastic stuff that you have to do. So those are things that you can do outside of the ski hill. So.
Okay, now we're gonna go out of the sport here a little bit. I don't know if you've saw some of the stories. As a guy who's now in the media, former athlete, I have a very hard time believing media. I still, even more so now that I'm in the media, I'm seeing how kind of it works. But there's a story floating around online that they ran out of 10,000 condoms in Milan Cortina. Okay. I'm not exactly sure how that's even possible, but I digress. Is the Olympic Village everything it says when it comes to partying, or is it a little blown out of proportion? I'm not trying to get you jammed up here, Alex. I'm just asking.
Okay, we'll say the right things. Or the straightforward. There's no party in the village, to be honest, because it's a dry village first. Okay. And all athletes respects other athletes that are going to compete the next day and the following day. So they're in a routine. They might not be done. So athletes, when they're done, they go outside of the village to party in the city or whatever. But obviously, when if they want to come back and they're alone, or they want to finish the night with somebody else, they can't bring somebody from the bar at the village because it's restricted. So they actually have to hook up with other Olympic athletes, and that's it. That's pretty much, if I would say, where the rumor's from. But yeah, it's disproportionate.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we got to clear that up a little bit.
No, in the village, it's quite calm. At 9 o'clock, there's no one like yelling. Everybody respects. I mean, I wouldn't want to wake up at 1 a.m. by a hockey player that's drunk from the night before my race.
Any
right?
sort of funny business, of course. You gotta compete.
Exactly.
A couple weeks ago, I was in San Francisco for the Super Bowl covering, and my former team was in Seattle. I brought my Super Bowl ring to San Francisco, and Alex, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm from LaSalle, Ontario. My Super Bowl ring has been, since I've received it, which was in 2014, I think it was like May of 2014, I'd say it's spent 90% of its life in a safety deposit box in a bank in LaSalle, Ontario, my parents' safety deposit box. So I broke it out this year, and I was sitting there thinking about you, and when I was prepping for this, I go, how often does your gold medal, either one of them, see the light of day? Like, do you ever wear it? Not wear it in public, I'm not an idiot. I'm saying, like, do you bring it to events? Or is it...
I do. When I visit schools or they like to see the Olympic medals. I think the Olympic medals is more of a public thing that people want to see. Instead, I don't know, maybe a ring is a bit more personal to each player instead of, it's kind of more of the trophy. So obviously if you go in an event and you have the ability to bring the trophy, you would the Super Bowl, you would the Lombardi, you would, but it's not this, it's not yours, it's the league. But so yeah, when I do events, people like to see them. So definitely, they're not in a safe, they're just in a drawer at home, and just bring them whenever I need. So,
of the 2010 Whistler and 2014 Sochi, if you could rank, and this might be a stupid question, you can tell me, Alex, but like, listen, dumbass, don't ask dumb questions. Do you rank one better than the other, or more memorable? Not better, but more memorable than the other one?
No, I receive that question quite often, actually. And for me, I've been 3 times at the Olympics. I was there in 2006, and I finished 11th. It was a bit of a deception. And my 3 Olympic experience have as much meaning to me. Even if Torino was a failure, I think it made me grow as an athlete. And I'll always remember that event as something very special in my career, even though if it was a failure. But Vancouver for me was a dream coming true. Like the little kid having a dream coming true of winning the Olympic Games. It's kind of, but maybe not my best performance in career. And Sochi was my signature. It's kind of everything went as according to plan. It was just like the performance itself is the best I could personally do in my career at the right moment. So the Vancouver Games, it was just, I mean, the experience of being at home, which I didn't feel as much in Sochi, but for me, the performance is Sochi, the experience is Vancouver.
I love to hear that. And Alex, I got one more quick one for you. We're going to talk a little bit about this year's Olympics. I saw an article in the Globe and Mail. Again, I don't really trust the media. I'm sorry. It's not really my vibe. But there's been a lot of chatter online about Canada's performance thus far in the Olympics, how it's been slacking a little bit. Compared to years past, if you were in charge, how would you fix, the performance issues that Canada has perceivingly had from the media in this Olympic cycle?
Like Vancouver was one of our best performances in Canada history, and why is because we invested a lot in our athletes, in our programs ahead of the games. And in 2011, after the games, you could see every clubs in any sport in Canada were full. Whether it was summer or winter sports, they were full of kids playing out there and having fun and finding new passions. And that was a result of the Olympics. And slowly we cut off through the programs, and because, the governments have other priorities, which are fair. Healthcare, political, military now, it's getting crazy. But, I mean, we have to come back to getting our kids inspired, getting them in clubs, getting them moving to keep a healthy community. I think it's mandatory and it's very important. And I think it's a wheel that has to keep moving, and we have to keep investing. It's not because it's only in Canada. We have to keep that. And it hasn't been as much of a priority for all our governments in the last couple of years. And we're talking about the health of our community there and the long-term health of our community, not only medals. Yes, medals, but medals brings other things.
Alex, I can't thank you for your time today again. Letting a guy like me know, who's been nowhere near the Olympics, kind of giving him a brief insight to what it's like. And again, everybody, this is Alex Bilodeau, two-time gold medalist, three-time Olympian, first Canadian to win a gold medal during a Canadian-hosted Olympics, and first Canadian male to defend his gold medal. Alex, I appreciate your time today coming on Film Never Lies.
Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Again, I just find it so fascinating, kind of listen to Alex, listen to Sebastien there, talk about what it's like to be in that one moment. And this is at such a smaller degree, and this is why I have such a personal fascination with the Olympics. I remember when I would have been 23, a fresh 23, and how college football worked. We had a bowl game. I think we played like December 30th, and this is Rice. It was not like some epic bowl. And then you go down to Florida, and I want to shout out Mike Goff, who's from Scarborough. He got a very great spot down in Florida, but you train for the combine or pro days. And I thought it was such a strange feeling, and I remember this verbatim like it was yesterday. But I got down for the 40-yard dash, and I'm getting into the stance, and there's a bit of a routine that I would go through. Again, Mike Goff kind of helped me through this thing. And I had a very good feeling it was going to go well. But I remember sitting there thinking, how fast I run this 40 yards is going to determine all of the hopes and dreams of my life. Like, since I was a kid, I wanted to, be a professional athlete. And then really, college, when I showed up at 18 and now I'm 23 years old, it's all been like, get to the NFL, get to the NFL, get to the NFL, get to the NFL. And there are a lot of steps that had to get me to that start line. But at the end of the day, for me personally, this is my own thing. I was like, I know that if I run a 40, sub 4.6, and really start flirting with that 4.5 line, I'm going to the NFL. That's what it's going to come down to. That's what it all boils down to. I have 2 runs for 40 yards, and I got to be fast. And it's such a surreal feeling. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is imagine being Alex or Sebastien here. I prepped for 2 months in Florida. Now, granted, there were years kind of going into this for a 40-yard race that I'm by myself. These guys prep for 4 years. 4 years for one event to go out here and win like this. Like, think of just the moment, like the depth of that whole thing, the mentality, and kind of hear Alex talk about it and Sebastien, pretty special. And that's going to wrap it up for me on this next episode of Film Never Lies.